Brittany Krause here. I am going to walk you through scoring of the SAEL assessment. So the first thing that I want you to notice is that I have the student's first and last name. I also have the grade level and the date all written at the top, as well as the teacher. This is really, really important. I sometimes drop files, or files can get, kind of mixed around as I'm trying to sort through. And occasionally they will get mixed in with other grade levels or other students. And if I don't have a first and last name and I don't have a date, I don't know when you performed these assessments. And sometimes it's really hard for me to figure out when they were given. So please make sure that you are dating your assessments and writing down all of this information. It is not optional, and it is not just for my fun. These files are stored in the student's permanent files, and when they transfer to another school, we send them with them. So it's important that they have accurate information to use for those teachers. So, all right, that's my little preamble here. I'm going to walk us through how to score the SAEL assessment. I've done a little bit of work preemptively so that we can go kind of quickly. The first thing that I'll show you is I just circle the 1 for what they get correct and the 0 if they got it incorrect. And then I've got 4 out of 6, which totals to be 67%. On this one, they used assistive technology, so I went ahead and checked that. So for the concept of print, they got 4 out of 6. Yeah, which is 67%. Oh, I think this was supposed to be over here. Sorry. So yeah. The next section was a little bit trickier. This is actually very representative of maybe an ASR or PLS classroom. I put dots on all of the letters that they got correct, and I crossed off the letters that they got incorrect. And that was 18 out of 26 and 69%. The reason I like to do that is because sometimes I'll cross it off and a student will self-correct. And then I can circle it to show that they self-corrected and they actually got it correct. And so that would look like something like this. Which makes it a little bit easier for me just to tell if a student did get it correct, versus I know some people circle the ones that students get incorrect, but then if they do end up self-correcting, then how do we show that they got it correct? So for me, circles always equal correct, or dots equal correct, and crossed off equals incorrect, if that, I don't know, kind of makes sense. So yeah, so that helps a little bit. 18 out of 26, which is 69%, 13 out of 26 for the lowercase letter identification, and then they got 14 out of 26 for the letter production. I added all of those up and put them down here in the total. So 45 out of 78 equals 58%. You'll notice I did not just average all 3 of these percentages. I went ahead and did the actual math. I added them all up and put those there because sometimes when rounding and whatnot, it'll get a little bit wonky. So make sure you're doing that. So for this section, we've got 58%, and now we're ready to score the pre-reading skills. That one, I went ahead and did that math as well. So 4 plus 45 is 49, divided by 84 is 58% on that pre-reading skills. So now I will show you the consonant vowels. So this is why I want just to make sure that we're always doing the actual scores. 31 out of 31 is 100%, because this one only has 21 in it. There's 21 consonant sounds, not 26, 21. And then 5 short vowel and also 5 long vowel. Those are 2 separate. So sometimes those things get, when you're scoring this, you might just write 26 or something like that, and then it gets a little wonky. So make sure you're doing that. And then I said that they got 5 out of 10 for the rhyming section. That's 36 out of 41, which is 88%. The next one that I want to show you is the decoding skills. We'll scroll down here. Okay, so the reason what I really wanted to show you was this error analysis of coding, of decoding. So I'm just going to put a little box up here so it's a little easier for us to take a look at. But first of all, when you're looking at this, the first one, I didn't write anything in there. I just circled one because they got it correct. And then usually I would do this as I'm scoring, or as the student is telling me their answers. I will write down what they said if they got it wrong, but I won't score it at that point. So you can go ahead and score it as a 0 if you want, but I usually go back and score later because I like to do the error analysis. So for the first one, the word was fox, and they got it correct. So I am going to circle ones for that initial consonant blend, that medial vowel sound, and that ending consonant. So they got 1, 1, 1. I've got a spinny wheel of death here, sorry. So the next word that they got, the word was supposed to be lit, and they read it as pit. So they got a 0. They did not get a full point for this word. They got a 0 for that initial consonant sound, but they got a 1 for the medial vowel sound because they said pit, and that also has a medial vowel short I. And they got the T as well. So they get that ending consonant. So same thing for web. They got 1 for the initial sound. They got 1 for the medial vowel, but they missed that ending sound. So they got 0 for that. And I'll go through and do that for every single one. And then after that's done, I will go and write in the total for all of the words for all of these real words. And so in this particular one, the student got 4 completely correct. They got 4 words where they read the initial sound, the medial sound, and that ending sound correct. For the initial sound, they got 7 out of 10. That medial vowel sound, they got 8 out of 10. And that ending consonant sound, they got 7 out of 10. So this is kind of shows you a good picture of why it's important to do some of that score breakdown, because you can see that some of these words, the student maybe was reading them as more high frequency words. And so it shows me that they're maybe not sounding them out very correctly, but it also shows me that they do actually know a lot of sounds, right? They got 70%, 80%, and 70% for those individual sounds. But overall, they're not blending that word. So they got 4 out of 10 or 40%. So if we were to just score whether they got it correct or incorrect, we would not have a very accurate picture of what the student is capable of doing. And we also wouldn't know necessarily what to be working on academically. So really, since they have a lot of these sounds, what we need to be working on is just the blending part. So having them sound out each individual sound and then push them together to make the word. The next section is the nonsense words. So I also go through and do error analysis on these, and I'll tell you right now that students do much worse on these nonsense words because they have a hard time blending words together. So that's why it's really important for phonics skills when we're doing assessments that we do nonsense words, because it tells us how well they actually are blending words versus just reading quickly and putting things together based on their sight recognition. So for this one, we got 0 overall. I didn't do error analysis, but when you do yours, you absolutely will do error analysis. I just put the scores in to be kind of quick here. And then I put on the bottom the total from both the real words and the nonsense. So 12 out of 15 initial sounds, 9 out of 15 on those medial sounds, and 10 out of 15 on those ending sounds. So that's also going to give us some good information about what to work on. So for the total nonsense, 0 out of 5. And then I'm going to do total for all of the CVC words here, real and nonsense, 4 out of 27. Now I'll go back up and I entered in all of my scores for the decoding. So we only got 4 out of 15 total, which is 27%. The next section that I want to show you is the high frequency word identification section. So for these ones, sorry, just let me find the right one here. I wanted to show you how sometimes our scores get a little bit wonky and why I had multiple sections at the top, even though we're only going to do a total for one of the sections or one of those little boxes. So for our pre-kindergarten high frequency words, we got 7 out of 10 or 70%. And for our kindergarten, we got 3 out of 10 or 30%. Okay. And so our threshold, what we're really looking for is between 60 to 80% is going to be that instructional area. That's telling us where we need to be, where our students are, where they're ready to learn. Right? If it's lower than 60%, it's just going to be really frustrating for our students. And if it's above 80%, they might not be struggling very much with it. And so there's not quite enough there for us to teach. But at 80%, that's really good practice. That's where they can put their skills into good use. And so this student is 70% on that pre-K and 30% for the kindergarten. I'm going to go ahead and put both of those scores up here because I think that it's good information. I messed this one up. Sorry. This should be whatever, 70%. And so I am going to put 70%. I'm only going to score this one. Okay, I'm only going to score the pre-K 70%. I'm not going to add these two up. I'm only concerned with this, the one that they got within that range. So between 60 and 80%. For the listening comprehension, that was the one that got a little bit tricky that I want to show you. So, listening comprehension, they scored 4 out of 5 for pre-K or 80%. They scored 6 out of 10 for kindergarten. And then they scored 5 out of 10 for first grade. So, all of those are really close. This one is exactly at 80%. And remember, we're looking for 60 to 80% for that instructional area. So, this is at the top. This is at the bottom, and this one is just a tiny bit lower. So I'm actually going to put first grade score on there, and I'm going to put kindergarten on there. And the reason for that is because my first grade score is only slightly lower than 60%. So it's telling me that the student may actually have a little bit more skills than what they're showing. But I also want to recognize that first grade passage was it was about an animal, and the kindergarten passage was not about an animal. So maybe if they're reading about a preferred topic, they may be getting a little bit higher of a score. So it's important for us to put that. I want to put that first grade score just so we can see it and know that we're going to start at the kindergarten level, but at some point we may be able to move into first grade territory, and I'd like to be able to see that score comparison maybe in the winter or the spring. So for total listening comprehension, I'm only putting that instructional level. I'm only putting kindergarten. I'm not adding these two up because I don't care about this first grade score. It's a little bit too low for me. I'm only going to I'm only going to put the kindergarten score in there, and that's 6 out of 10, 60%. Okay? So now I'm ready to do my total. When I do my total, I'm actually going to do an average of all of the sections, all 5 sections. So I'm adding 58% plus 88% plus 13 plus 70 plus 60, and I'm going to divide that by 5, which equals 60%. Actually 59 something, and I rounded it up to 60%. Okay, so that is how we are going to score the SAEL assessment. As always, message your academic department if you have any questions.